Plug in that lava lamp and fire up your floppy disks. You've landed on the Gen X Files. While you do your best to keep your Tamagotchi alive, these guys will work to untangle the phone cords.
I'm going to have some fun tonight. I'm going to call the 7000 party line. Hope you're there.
Here's Jason Blank, Sean Knowles, and Greg Minka.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a little while, not too long, I guess. Enough for us to have journeys. As you can see, Sean is from his new studio of wherever the heck he is right now.
Mobile One, we're just going to call it Mobile
That's
One.
right, Mobile One. So he could be anywhere in the world, which is fantastic, or he could be in his driveway. Who knows? And that's what makes it exciting.
Hey, before we jump in, Sean, I gotta ask. So, is that a mic I see? Right? You got a mic
Yeah.
now? So, okay.
I was asking my wife about the audio because it sound. I don't have a very good audio setup on this on my tablet, so I just something to make it just a tad better, so I don't sound like I'm talking out of a tin can.
All right, Greg.
And it's got a weird sock.
And I see headphones, so apparently I'm the only one on dial-up, and I'm gonna have to catch up to you guys. So my Uniserv dial-up internet, I'll have to do better. Okay, I'll do better. I do have headphones, but now it just looks like I'm just trying to fit in. So
I don't know. These I had lying around. They're cordless, and it came with an AV cord, which is weird when I bought them. That they came with an AV cord because who has AV cords anymore? And I got this for cheap on Clear Out on Amazon. No, Best Buy, and it wasn't very expensive. Just the cheapest one they had that looked like it was a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we're gaining. We're getting more professional. We have more.
That's
more people
pushing it,
listening,
Greg.
right?
That's pushing it, buddy. Don't start using that professional word. People will start raising expectations and things.
Yeah.
But so Greg, now I guess we have challenged you to up the game a little. So it's time for you to get a fancy new studio mic. Or
right,
not. Doesn't matter, buddy. It's all good. That's the thing. We're just having a lot of fun with this. And well, let us continue to have fun with this. And first of all, Greg, we're going to let you take the floor because we were going to record last week, but you were indisposed in Ontario, of all places. So you took Mobile One. Not really. But you were in Ontario for a Harem Scarum concert. So come on, you got to share the love with that one, buddy.
Well, yes. So that's why we have one listener or view on YouTube in Oshawa last week, because that's where I was trying to. But anyways, yes, you guys are correct. My beautiful wife, Summer, convinced me. One of my favorite top 3 bands of all time, Harem Scarum, was playing a warm-up show in Oshawa, Ontario, and before they go do 10 or 12 dates in Europe. And they are one of the few bands left on my bucket list, but again, top 3 band of all time. I followed them right from the very beginning, from their early days. 91 was their first album on, and their first single, Slowly Slipping Away, was on Much Music. And then they had a couple tracks actually on Degrassi Junior High as well. So, but they're not very well known, at least in a lot of circles, but they have diehard fans, and I would definitely consider myself one. So Summer saw them playing, saying that they were going to play in Oshawa, so she's like, you got to go. And I hum and hawed it a little bit, but then I just did it. I got to go with my brother Rob, and we did a 36-hour turnaround. We left 3:30 in the morning on Saturday morning out of Calgary, got into Oshawa, and navigated the buses and trains and stuff to get there. And so we got there around 4:30, and I was like, my brother was, I'm going to rest for a little bit, right? So I was like, I'm going to go to the Bitmore Theater where they're playing. You never know, but I'm not coming all this way. And sure enough, in front of Bitmore Theater, the lead singer, Harry Hess, was there talking to another guy who came from Minnesota to see the band. So I got 5 minutes to at least just say hi to Harry Hess and share how much this band has meant to me in my life. And he was very, very kind and gracious. And then, went to the show. and sure enough, ran into the guitarist Pete Lesperance, and same thing. Got 5 minutes just to talk with them and share how much this band has meant to me. And one of the words I used was the soundtrack to my life. Wow. I can pinpoint when I met Summer and Marriage and Kids all along the albums of them. And he was Pete too was like, wow, I really appreciate it, let alone, guys coming from Calgary. Well, we tell them Calgary because when we say Drumheller and Red Deer, people are like, what? But it was great. The Bitmore Theater was fantastic. 500 people packed, all Harem Scarum fans. We ran into people in the hotel as well. You could even the guy checking in, so you're here for the concert, aren't you? But it was a great show, off on my bucket list. And then they did a meet and greet afterwards where they signed everything.
Wow.
They had their new album Chasing Euphoria, which is out in a few days, but I got a couple early copies, and they signed them, and I got some guitar picks from Pete Lesperance, and got to meet Darren Smith, the drummer, and Mike, the bass player. It was great. I feel like my brother really enjoyed it too. He was a casual Harem Scarum fan, because I used to just make him these Harem Scarum best of CDs, and I just send him to him. Go, oh, here's a new one for you. Here's a new one, and so he knew the band, but it was a great time. And again, one of my top 3 bands, bucket list. Wow. But they are fantastic. And for the other 4 viewers on this, other than my mom's heard of Harem Scarum before, but if anyone wants to check them out, a couple albums I would recommend is the album United, the album Weight of the World, or the album Mood Swings. And so it was great.
Well,
great.
I think Harem Scarum might have to, send something our way for all this endorsement we just gave for the last 5 minutes. But
I would take at least 3 bunny hugs.
Three bunny hugs. There we go. No, gotta say, man, it's really cool. I find in our generation, it's really cool when we get to see those bucket list bands, and we grew up in such a great time of music, right? There's so many great bands that are honestly still touring to this day. It was funny. I was just in the car. I had to go fill up the vehicle, and I had Stone Temple Pilots' Interstate Love Song come on the radio. And did I have to crank it? Of course I had to crank it. We've been pretty lucky, if you think about it, growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, of the great bands that we've had in our lifetime that we still get to see, and some of them that are gone now, unfortunately, like Blind Melon. Could you imagine how big they would have been if they would have been able to continue? Nirvana was huge already, but without the ending of Nirvana, the Foo Fighters would have never been created. And it keeps going and going. So I really hope our kids get that when they grow up too, that they get those bands that just makes them, you got to see them. You just got to see them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I liked Greg. Oh, sorry, Greg. Go ahead.
Just to tag on, and you're probably going to add this, Sean, so I'm sorry, but I love the fact that you go to small theaters now. Or, like I said, Harem Scarum, they were big in Japan, they're way bigger in Europe. They got a small cult following in Canada. But I love that bands like them, but you can go see other, like Honeymoon Suite and stuff like that, where you're seeing them in these other venues, but they're just so personable, and they take time to talk to you, and it's different than it was growing up. Not obviously we're all older now, but yeah. Sorry, Sean, I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, that's okay. We were talking about things we love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to really point out what you said about Much Music, and I think that's the one thing our kids don't have and they can't connect to.
Yeah.
Because do you remember going home after school? You take the videotape, you go into Much Music, and you'd videotape some of the music videos, or you listen to Speaker's Corner, or all that kind of fun stuff that really attached to the music. And that's why I think we have part of that emotional attachment, because of the journeys we took through that. I'm actually jealous of Greg. I've never been able to go to any of those, or not been able to, just never have, and connect with bands like that. I think that'd be really fun, and that kind of personal experience. That's something you can't get at a stadium. Like when Trooper comes around, because Trooper comes to all the small towns, and everybody loves Trooper. So and you can go and meet and talk to all the bands, like Honeymoon Suite, Kim Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you.
It's always worth it.
I'm going to tell you a trooper story right now because last night I was up in Delia because Delia's a little town outside of Drumheller. They're voting to see if they were going to become a village or not. But I walked into the Delia Community Hall, and the last time I was there was to see Trooper. And Trooper played Delia, a town of 200, and a hall that seats 300 people. And I got to see Trooper there, and I got to meet Ray. And you just sit down and you have an opportunity. Like, I still have his autographed Trooper hat. And to exactly that smaller venue, we're so lucky now to be able to see these bands in these smaller venues that, I saw Theory of a Dead Man, which is, 2000s band, but I saw them at it was Flame Central at the time, but the Palace Ballroom in downtown Calgary. Like that's like 200 people. And like, that's a concert you'll never forget because it was such an intimate venue. So same thing as what you're talking with Harem Scarum. Like, it's going to be one that you'll talk about forever because, again, it's that small venue, right?
Yeah. And I'll just say one more thing, and honestly, but you're totally speaking my language, Jason, because the concert was great, the set list was awesome. They played almost I wanted to hear more. It went by so fast, but the fact that there was 5 minutes to talk to these guys and actually convey how much their music meant to me growing up, and now today, that was almost the same. Almost the same to me, that you got to just convey your feelings about what their music meant to you, and in these small and these guys walked around like the whole night and talked to people. Like, it was awesome. All right, I am past my Harem Scarum limit, so
that's okay.
I apologize.
I like how
everyone. Good night.
No, this is a great tangent though, because again, like you brought up Much Music, for instance. So you think of all the VJ hosts that we got to know, and it's really cool because with my job, I work at the radio station here in Drumheller, and we're part of the Boom Network. And Boom 97.3 is our flagship station in Toronto, Ontario, and the morning show host is Stu Jeffries. Good Rockin' Tonight.
Nice. Good Rockin' Tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with Stu Jeffries, not on the air, just as a conversation, because he's actually a coworker of mine. And, you think about how influential those people were in our world, because Good Rockin' Tonight, we all watched Good Rockin' Tonight. It was like a Friday night ritual. And it was honestly there before Much Music. Right? Yep. It was there just before Much really got started. But, you start thinking about some of the VJs on Much Music, like Rick Stampanelli, is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Rick Stephanopoulos?
No, the George Stopolopoulos.
George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah. And
I'm still saying that wrong.
And he's, we won't forget about him because, again, he was part of our history. Like, he was the guy that was showing us all this new cool music, and they'd have all these bands, and I always wanted to go to Speaker's Corner in downtown. Like, the reason that I'm a huge Bare Naked Ladies fan is because the Bare Naked Ladies spent their dime in Speaker's Corner and did their song, which really generated their love. So in essence, what Speaker's Corner is today's YouTube, right? So that's how they got found, was they did a song in there. Then they do a cover of Lovers in a Dangerous Time, and they become this multi-huge band for me. And when I got to see them here in Drumheller, like, again, a small venue, it was a little bit bigger, but just to see the Bare Naked Ladies play here in Drumheller, that so good. Exactly. Yeah. It made it. And it wasn't the music, it wasn't the set list, it was where it was, right? It was almost the venue, the atmosphere, the energy, and saying that and telling people that the Bare Naked Ladies came to where I lived, and they did a concert in my town where there was maybe 2,500 people there or whatever, but how many ever people, I don't care how many people were there. I was there. Yeah. So, I guess we're lucky now because. And I wonder if our parents are talking about, like I know that my parents were huge Charlie Pride fans and stuff like that. And that genre of music now, I guess 20 years ago, they were starting to play the smaller venues. So then they got to enjoy that. So, that's where the more appreciation of the bands that we loved when we grew up is now that we get to see them in smaller settings. Yeah.
So you can actually interact with them and make it a personal experience. And that's why I'm jealous of Greg, because it looks like he's having such a good time in those pictures.
Oh, it was, seriously, it was so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. Still can't wipe the smile off her face. And that's what
No,
I love about it.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Thank you. In return, everyone's getting Harem Scarum CDs for Christmas. Okay. So I'm just telling you right now. So I'll make you some more best of. I still got some in my garage, so I'll get them in the mail.
I'm amazed you haven't got them held up right now. Like,
you know what? It's funny enough, because you guys know I just jotted home from work, but I do. I got a signed Scarum CD and stuff. But anyways, I won't. Anyways,
if this is the early 2000s, we'd all have like a CD stomper and put our label on it and then do the Harem Scarum mix.
You know what? That was a great time. I loved being able to make best of. Of course, we all made mixtapes, right? Mm-hmm. But the minute when CD burners came out, and you'd be able to, rip and make your own. I totally like, not only Harem Scarum best ofs that I gave to all my family and friends, but like anything I put together, Night Ranger and stuff, and just take all of that music and make your own CDs. And you're right. Or at least I did. I scanned look for pictures. Okay, what's the picture going to be on the disc? Mm-hmm. What's the right one for the back cover? And what's the track list? Because you gotta like sequence it properly. You don't start off with a mid tempo, right? Start off with a rocker, right, and then go into a mid tempo. But I would like sequence it, and I loved that time.
I love that. I love that story right there, because that's as a guy that's heavily involved in music, I appreciate that even more. Here's this is kind of take us down a different road. That was not part of our plan, and part of our plan is going to actually go out the window right now. So we're taking a different road, and so remember when the MP3 came out, right? So we used to burn our music, and we had them on WAV files, and then we could burn it so that we could have 100 songs on a CD that you could play in your car.
Yeah.
I remember that like yesterday, but then remember we had to LimeWire all these songs. So you had to sit there on your dial-up internet, and it would say 36 hours. So you'd actually download it overnight to get some of these songs, and then you'd burn it to your 100-song MP3 CD. And then you could listen and cruise around town with that MP3 CD. Like, our kids will never get that joy. Of the expectation and the wait, or the waiting for. I remember when I worked at the music store, and we used to have the midnight openings for band, like for new albums, and the era of that unfortunately is gone. Like you get your music instantaneously now. Like, it's out on YouTube, or it's out on Spotify, it's out on Apple Music right now. So thank goodness there's technology, or else we wouldn't be able to do this. But that being said,
mailing cassettes to each other.
That's okay. I mean, that would be awesome, because it's like this neat little thing that comes like, what's on this? And everyone, when they used to trade around the cassette tapes or even CDs, because even the ones I used to make, I used to just put weird names on them, and I would know what was on each one or what kind of music. And I would always try to start off with something like classical. I love starting off with like Carmina Burana, and then going into metal, into soft music, and just kind of flow through, like you said. Or I used to like putting soundtracks on, so like something from Danny Elfman, and then put some other music that corresponds with it. Like, I had an album called Careful with That Axe, Eugene, which is actually a Pink Floyd album, but I had no Pink Floyd on it. But I knew what was on it, the type of music. And I always put Transformers stickers, because I still have Transformers on my CDs. I knew which ones were which. And someone would look at it and goes, "What's on this?" I'm like, I'll show you.
Let me show you. And that's the other part of it too. Like, we grew up in the era and the age of the Ghetto Blaster, and we would. You were always hoping, and it's funny because this is what I do on a daily basis. is talk over music, right? And yeah, and you're really hoping that DJ would not screw up the intro of a U2 song or screw up the intro of Metallica or something like that. Like, I can still remember to this day sitting there waiting, listening. It would be in the old Radio 7 days when 700 AM out of Red Deer, they would be a heavier rock station, and I would be sitting there with my ghetto blaster just ready to record. And then that jerk that was the DJ would talk over top of the intro, and you're like, oh, I'd still record the song. Don't get me wrong. And honestly now, because I love doing what I do, and I love being a morning show host and a radio guy, I actually listen to that guy too. And I liked recording with that guy talking over top of it because that's what I wanted to do.
But how many times did you download a song on LimeWire and you still get the radio DJ intro because someone else recorded it? So you're like waiting 10 hours for the song. Yeah. My internet was really bad. And you get that, or you get a different song that's completely different. Somebody mislabeled it. But you found a band that way sometimes because you get the wrong song. Like, what is this? And you try to ask around, you find out what it is. And then you start listening to that music too. That was a better way to discover. It was fun.
Yeah, well, and like we go through the one-hit wonder segments as well, because so I worked at a music store here in town, and we would get the demo CDs so that we would play the top hits and stuff, and you're like, oh. So I remember I found the band Sister Hazel, and I still to this day love Sister Hazel, but I bought their CD for one song, and they've got 2, maybe 3 bangers on that album. The rest, okay. But how many CDs do we have in our collections that have one song? I can see Greg right now. You have so many, I would suspect. Me too, that have one song that we wanted and all the rest of it is... Yeah.
I am down to 2 big bins of what I had to... I did it about 4 years ago. I had over 600 maybe, and I didn't have the space, so I kept what was really important, like which ones, and a couple of Sister Hazel ones did. Chasing Daylight made the cut. Love that album. But I had to part with it because it was just too many. But yes, and buying CDs, gosh, at that time was $25 a pop, and for 1 or 2 songs. But
that's why I worked at the music store, so I'd get discount.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you ever go to the music store and just kind of look through a genre and find something that looked cool and then played it? Before they used to have the sound boost where you could listen to it. Yeah. And you just like, oh, this looks great. Then you bring it home and it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's just terrible music.
I bought a lot of those. I actually have a lot in my collection. Thanks.
Yeah. I would, because growing up in the hair metal phase, that's, you would turn the jacket around or the CD around. You'd check to see what they look like, who the producer was. Was it Richie Zito? Was it, like I would know who produced those, and I'm like, okay, this looks like a hair band, and I'd buy it. And did I buy Salty Dog? Yep. Right. Was it good? Nope. For the other listener out there, go ahead and Google Salty Dog. You'll see. But no, there was a lot of missteps. And Sean, I couldn't agree more. When the internet, you could go on sites and you say, if you liked, okay, all right, shameless plug, but if you like Harem Scarum, try this band. And if you, right, and that, it did open up a lot of like different windows of stuff going. Like I would have never discovered Sister Hazel if it wasn't through those forums, right?
Oh, I would have told you about it, Greg. I would have let you know that Sister Hazel rocks. Yeah. I would have let you know.
Yeah, I'm getting a Sister Hazel CD for Christmas, am I?
Yep. Yeah, there you go.
Best of. All right.
You're just gonna get a shoebox full of CDs.
Yeah. Actually, I'm signing you up for Columbia House right now. You get 10 CDs for a penny.
I'm still getting threatened by them on a daily basis. I think they can reach me.
Did you ever notice though that with Columbia House, there were different recordings? Like if you got an album from a Columbia House, it could not have been the exact album. I remember I got a couple of them and I listened to them, and then I worked at the music store, so then I got to listen to music there and then reseal the envelope and sell it to somebody else. But yeah, there was some at Columbia House, because they were produced by Columbia House, that the versions were different. And even to this day, I hear that there's certain, like even at Walmart, the music can be
Walmart
a little different.
Exclusives
Yeah,
too, right?
exactly, right? So
yeah, Journey had a couple albums that were Walmart exclusives, which bonus tracks.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was cool because the other day I was at Sunrise Records, and we're name dropping everywhere. But yeah, I was flipping through vinyl now, and I love that vinyl is making such a resurgence. I just need to get myself a record player again because I haven't had one.
I was just at an
years.
event and someone won a record player that was with me.
Yeah,
exactly. I could have got it off them.
But yeah, like to listen to vinyl now, like vinyl is the best way to listen to music, I think, anyways. But we actually grew up in a generation where vinyl disappeared pretty quick. I know in my time, anyways. We didn't have a lot of vinyl when we were growing up. My dad had more. We started 8-tracks, cassettes, and all that stuff, and like we had the record player, but we didn't play a lot on the records. But I love how it's got a resurgence now, and people are really loving the sound that comes off of a vinyl record.
I think we sound a little more pure about it. It's been a long time. I used to, but I got so much into movies in the 90s and 2000s that I kind of stepped a little bit further away from music. Where like what you were doing with the CDs, looking at the back and who recorded, who's that. I would take a movie, I'd look who's the writer, who's the choreographer, who's the producer, who's the director. So what you did with music is what I did with movies, where I listened to a lot. There's specific bands I would follow anything they did. Like, is that Summer?
That's
Summer.
Hi, Summer.
It's Vanna. And the dog.
Okay, and the dogs.
Can we put her in the credits for this episode?
Oh, that's awesome. Harem Scarum autographed.
Okay,
Sweet.
Mood Swings, but 500 of these were only released, and you buy them through a group called Songkick. Anyways,
Yeah, I've heard of Songkick before. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Sing Records is what it
Okay.
was. But yeah, so they remastered it, and only 500 available. And of course, I got it, but I don't have a vinyl. I don't have a record player, but I wanted to support. But what I will say is, when I got this, it made me start to. Jason, you mentioned Sunshine Records. Like my godson Eric, he's totally into records, and when I go to Sunrise now, I start looking, and I'm like, you know what, I may be on the cusp of getting vinyl again, because I don't want to say it's going away, but it seems to be back to stay.
And it's cool. It's really cool. Well, gentlemen, we completely went off on a rail, but I love it, and that's what makes this. That's what really makes this so much fun, is because we don't stay to a script, and we just get in talk, and you can tell the passion that we have about music and movies and everything involved with
life.
Gen X. Yeah, life in general, Gen X, and that's it. So we got to wrap it up for another episode. So we're not going to tell you guys what next episode will be, because we don't know until we record it. But yeah,
It'll happen.
Exactly. It'll be awesome. But gentlemen, thanks again. Another great one.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me go off on a bit of a tangent there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing your passion for everything, Greg, and all your props. And I love that your wife's now bringing you props in the middle of a.
Well, we're talking vinyl, so I just, well.
All right. On that note, we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you soon.
All right, time to power down our old school computers and flip our CDs back into their cases. Thanks for listening to the Gen X Files, hosted by Jason Blank, Sean Knowles, and Greg Minka. Production assistance from Scott Mitchell. Produced by Blankman Productions. Remember, be kind, rewind.
Quick, rewind it!
And keep rocking those aviators and Doc Martens.